Hello and welcome. Ooh, it's time for a haircut. It is 3 o'clock. It is the 15th day of March. It is, well, I don't know about where you are, but here in Ventura, the weather is just weird. Who cares? I'm your grumpy guide to all things gaming, the OGGM. I put the O in old school and the C in Candelkeep because we're taking a look at some of the reviews of Candelkeep. I had mentioned earlier today in the RPG news that reviews were starting to pop up of the Candelkeep Mysteries. I've found 2 so far. I'm sure there's more, but I'm lazy. Now, I could go out and buy the book, but since I'm not going to, and I'm lazy, and most of it's free online anyways, I'm just going to paraphrase other people's work. Because why not? So this morning I looked at an initial review, and basically the review was, hey, this is a pretty good collection of adventures. They're all well written. They're all interesting and imaginative, but they're not really mysteries. So then I moved on to a second review, and I will note that in the first review, nobody mentioned the wheelchair accessible dungeon. Moved on to a second review, which pretty much said the same thing. It's slick, the art is great, it's well written, it's a good read. Normally I don't like anthologies, but this is the kind of anthology I would like laying around because it's a bunch of interconnected adventures, all based out of Candelkeep. But again, it doesn't really feel like a mystery. It just sort of feels like a bunch of adventures with a similar theme of being linked to Candelkeep. And that guy didn't mention the wheelchair accessible dungeon that's supposedly in Candelkeep. So here's the third one. This guy has gone into more detail. He even talks about a couple of the adventures. Strangely enough, he does not talk about the wheelchair accessible dungeon. So he says, these are the ones that I really liked. The very first one is about players getting sucked into a basically pocket dimension. And they have to explore the space to assemble the magic word that will return them home. So it's, puzzle solving and exploration. Not really a mystery. Kind of sounds like a, watered down White Plume Mountain. You're stuck someplace. You got to escape. Maybe, if it reminds you of the movie Cube, you got to, but with being less dangerous. Okay, so then we move on to the next one. This one is called Nsfw Might Digisons. And basically it starts with mimics eating the books in the library. Someone has been replacing rare volumes with these creatures so they can sell those books on the black market. It's up to the players to track down the thieves. And it's about negotiation. This is a diplomacy adventure. You get to fight some mimics that looks like books in the library and then track down the thieves. That's sort of a mystery. Tracking down the thieves, but not really. I mean, you're just, how is that different than any other adventure where you had to track down thieves, track down bandits? It's just, somebody's took something, you got to go get them. You have all the clues, you just got to get to them before they do whatever they do. I mean, this one doesn't really feel like a mystery to me. Then we have the Deep and Creeping Darkness, which is a horror adventure. Set in a mining town with a hive of heroic monsters nesting in the mine. Wow, this one sounds really familiar. And it's basically aliens in D&D. Again, not a mystery. Not even sure how going to a abandoned mine. Oh, yes, I went to the hospital today, so if you're wondering what this is, I just been too lazy to cut it off. And it's so fashionable. It goes with everything I own. So it's a horror adventure. It's aliens. Aliens is not horror. It's a thriller. Alien is a horror. It's a slasher in space. But Aliens is a roller coaster ride. It's a thriller. So it's not a horror. So if you're equating this adventure to Aliens, which basically trapped in someplace against overwhelming odds of, really weird whatever. That's a thriller. It's not a horror. And again, it's not really a mystery. And it's, yeah, okay. Then we have one about an adventure where a gnome plans to launch one of Candelkeep's towers into space, which sort of reads like a Warner Brothers cartoon. So again, not a mystery other than it's Candelkeep related. And it deals basically with you having to, I guess, deal with this gnome before he launches Candelkeep into space. That's another thing that sounds really familiar. Actually, it sounds really... I have a feeling somebody did this adventure before. Okay, then another adventure this guy reviewed is... basically, as far as I can tell, is you have to go get a book. This review makes no sense. Okay, but yeah, it's called The Book of Inner Alchemy. It's either you go into a book or you have to get a book, and then there's some martial arts shenanigans. Suddenly feel like it's supposed to make you feel like a Shaw Brothers martial arts film. So basically, this is a Waiaksu Chinese wire kung fu monk-centric adventure. This review, I can't even tell if the guy's saying you go into a book or you have to go get a book from these monks. But it's a monk. It's a martial arts action, Waiaksu, Shaw Brothers, yin-yang master. Again, not a mystery. It's a retrieval and a fight. And the last one he guys reviewed is called The Canoptic Being, and it's an Egyptian dealing with a villain sees his future. He sees that the heroes are part of his future, and so he tries to change his future so the heroes don't eventually defeat him, and therefore creating the reality where the heroes actually do defeat him. 13th level adventure. I guess it's like one of the final ones of the game. So it deals with epic endings, players seeing the glimpses of the future for good or bad, dealing with a being who knows what you're going to do before you do it. Time travel is always weird, and I'm not sure D&D is going to do it any better. Again, not a mystery. The Book of Inner Alchemy, well, you can't do Chinese martial arts in D&D no matter how hard you try. It just doesn't work. People have been trying for as long as there's been D&D. The system is not... It's counterintuitive to doing a heavy martial... Support me, Dr. Pepper. I need a sponsor, and I will sell out. And time travel, again, time travel never works. It's not going to work as a D&D adventure. So this guy reviewed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the adventures. So I think that's half of them. Oh, no, there's 17. There's a little more than half. So what can we make from this? All the adventures, except for the Haunted Mine one, which isn't a mystery or a horror. It's a thriller ride. I guess are centered in one way or another involving Candelkeep as a center of, as a place where the characters go and get adventures. That's really not much different than the Salt Marsh. Yes, I'm cutting it off. Or Yawning Portal. Here's a central location. Here's a quest hub. From here, you're going to do things. You can then do other stuff and come back to, and there's another thing. And then you can do other campaign stuff and come back to Candelkeep, and here's another thing. So it's not that you could run them interconnected like Salt Marsh and Yawning Portal, or you could just interspace them between other stuff going on in your game. All great. It's an anthology of adventures. All great. Everything I've read here, these all sound like really well-written, interesting adventures, except for the last two. And not to say they're not interesting, it's just those are things that won't work in D&D. You can't do time travel in any medium. Time travel just never works. And you can't do Chinese martial arts in D&D the way the D&D combat system is written, because it's too fluid, and D&D combat is too linear. That's not to say it's not a bad adventure, just not a good system for that adventure. Whatever. I mean, these all read like relatively interesting things. The mine one, I definitely know that one's been done before. I think Bob Reel did that one. And the trying to launch a tower into space, Warner Brothers wackiness. Yeah, that one sounds really familiar too. I think that's part of I don't know where that one's from. Maybe Castle Falkenstein. But yeah, that one sounds really familiar too. But there are no original ideas anymore. You can only tell 5 stories, and you can only tell them 32 ways. So yes, sooner or later, somebody's going to, do a new version of something that's been done before. No offense, whatever. Here's my thing, and I'm going to say this again. Candelkeep Mysteries, a book, 17 adventures centered around skullduggery, mysteries, whodunit, murder most foul, kidnappings, vanishing, all the things that divine mystery from these, what we've looked at so far, and this is only 6 out of 17, none of them are mysteries. Also, this guy chose to avoid the wheelchair accessible one as well. Interesting. 3 reviews I've read so far. All 3 of them choose to avoid the whole topic of the wheelchair one. I can't imagine why. Because that'd be the one I'd review. Oh, yeah. Whatever. So there's some news in Candelkeep Mysteries. Take it as you will. It feels like an anthology adventure book, which is fine. There's always room for anthology adventure books. They're always good. It's always good to see different people write short little adventures and their take on the D&D world. It's great that you're using Candelkeep as the quest hub, because Candelkeep is a place, of area of the world that hasn't really gotten explored a lot in the Forgotten Realms in 5th edition, or even, recently. And fine, and these all sound like great, interesting, fun adventures, but none of them sound like mysteries, my dear Watson. None of them sound like mysteries. So take that what you will. Run, don't walk to your nearest friendly local game store, that's Cess Games and Anime here in Ventura, and ask them to order it for you if this is a product that sounds interesting to you. Don't order it from Amazon. Order it at a friendly local game store, that's Cess Games and Anime here in Ventura. And if you appreciate this content, let me know. If you think I should shut the fuck up, let me know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. 500 subs by August 4th, that's all I ask. And I will talk to you, meddling kids, later. Now get off my lawn.